Hi again, my name is Dylan Black, and welcome to this edition of Daytime Ottawa on Rogers TV. You know what? The amazing Reflect by RAW Ottawa is coming to town Friday, March 1st, St. Bridget's Church downtown. And with all the details, we say hello to one of the artists, one of the people who will be exhibiting their wear. Michael Goodson joins us. Hello, Michael.
Hi.
Wonderful to see you here. And behind you, you have one fantastic piece of work. We're going to be talking about that coming up in moments. But is this the first time you're taking part in RAW?
It's the first time I have. I was at it last year as a guest.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on this amazing show that they put together?
It's fantastic. St. Bridget's Church, the venue, is like a cathedral. And it's very sort of upbeat and exciting. There are a lot of musicians and visual artists, makeup artists, fashion people.
Just about everybody you can imagine attends. And they've been doing this. RAW has been taking place for 10 years across Canada, in Ottawa for a few years now. So tell me about your art process. What kind of artist are you?
Painter, visual artist. I'm very interested in texture in my work and the way that that sort of amplifies the effect of sort of human presence in the painting.
Okay, it's really hard to do an interview with you and see what's behind you right there. So very 3D. It looks like the nose is popping out at our viewers right now. Can you explain this piece of artwork?
This is a painting of Sophia. I tend to choose older models because I like the wrinkles in the face and people who aren't concerned about me sort of airbrushing things. And I use a caulking gun to get the texture built up. There are a number of layers of paint that happen as I'm building it up.
Okay, so that this isn't 3D though, right? That isn't popping out at us.
No.
So is it difficult to get that effect?
It's a combination of illusion and the texture itself. Yeah, I think it's maybe the thickest part would be 1/2 centimeter.
Wow. What type of paints do you use?
Acrylic paint, and it's silicone latex, the stuff you use for your bathtub.
Okay, really?
Yeah,
wow.
Caulking gun.
Okay, a couple questions here about this piece now. Sophia, you mentioned. Sophia is a real person?
Yes.
Is Sophia still alive?
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't seen her in years. It was somebody that I ran into in the United States in a grocery store, and I asked her if she would mind being photographed, and she didn't speak English, so I spoke to her son-in-law, and he translated for her. And
the reason why I ask is because when somebody sees a picture of themselves like that, their reaction must be just, wow, that's something.
Sometimes.
Yeah, depending.
Yeah, and I try to, when I have somebody that I'm painting, I try to figure out ahead of time how they want to be represented.
And how long did it take for you to put that piece together?
This would be full-time a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, because you sketch it on. One thing I learned early on in the process as I was sort of inventing it is that once I've put the caulking on and I have it flat, I pour paint on top of it, and then I wipe it off the surface, and it sits in pools in the crevices and that. And then afterwards I work into it with the paint. But when the wet paint goes on it, if I wipe it off, if it's just pencil underneath, it wipes the pencil off and I lose my reference drawing. So I actually have to paint it first flat, and then put the caulking on, and then pour paint on it, and then paint it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a real process.
It does take a while.
I know we have a bunch of your, pictures of your artwork as well, so we'll have a look, and maybe you can just briefly describe what we see here.
This is actually an oil painting of my dad that I did a few years ago. He's my best model because he doesn't care about me accentuating the wrinkles.
Okay.
So I've done a number of portraits of him. That's him as well. But you can see the scale with the picture up there, and obviously with this one here. Most of the pieces that I do are that scale now, but I do some commission portraits like the one that you just saw before that, which is a standard oil painting, that other one, traditional.
Now, are they all mostly, for the most part, faces? That's
yes.
what you focus on?
Yeah. That one is Ken Lougheed. He's a Canadian artist who passed away a few years ago. And I was fortunate enough before he passed away to interview him in his studio and photograph him. So he had lots of really good stories. That's him as well.
That's quite something. My gosh. Okay, so all of your creations are large.
Yes.
So why did you decide? Okay, recently. So why did you decide to go to that format?
I like to try and create tension of it being a geography and a portrait, so a psychology and a geography. And what you'll find with these pieces, hopefully, if they're working right, is that when you're close to it, it feels like it's a terrain. But when you pull away from it, it feels like there's a human there that's looking back at you, if it's successful.
Okay,
that's
now,
my goal.
You also have a fine arts degree and a
Yes.
master's degree as well?
Yeah, I did a master's in the UK, in London.
So do you find it's important to learn about the arts before you can even call yourself an artist?
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
For me, it is. And it's mainly because I'm curious about everything art related. So the more I can learn, the more I can incorporate or into my own stuff. I think it's important to always be growing and learning.
Of course.
Yeah.
What drew you to be an exhibitor at this upcoming RAW Ottawa?
Because it's exciting and it's a totally different audience. I mean, there are tattoo artists there as well, like the musicians. So I get to have my work seen by people that wouldn't maybe normally go into a gallery setting. So it's just a different experience.
Okay, so it begins at 7 p.m. Friday, March 1st now. You're going to have a few pieces on hand because I'm sure they don't give you the whole church cathedral because your pieces are pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have space in my booth, my area, for maybe 3 pieces, this scale, yeah.
So if people can't make it to RAW then, and they're having a look at what you're doing here and they're thinking this is incredible, or perhaps they'd love you to commission their face, paint their face, how can they get in touch with you?
Right now, direct message by Instagram would be the easiest. I have an email address as well.
Okay. But search out Michael Goodson on Instagram?
On Instagram would be Michael Ross Goodson.
Michael Ross Goodson.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. Are you constantly working on pieces?
When I have the time, yeah.
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 Good job. St. Bridget's Church, we look forward to seeing you at Reflect by RAW Ottawa. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Incredible talent. That's something for sure. Hey, it's Black History Month, and there's a showcase happening at Yuck Yucks. Details next.